daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. It's a bit of a special episode this time around because we've got a special guest. My name's Kieran and I have Alex from the Noisy Neighbours Pod alongside me, one half of the Noisy Neighbours Pod. But between you and me, it's the best half because this guy is the Manchester United side. Welcome along, Alex. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Kieran. Absolutely buzzing to be on. And yeah, I totally agree, by the way, even if we are struggling at the minute and City had obviously had a few better seasons, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not been the greatest start to the season, has it really? I mean,
No.
we could always, we've had 6 games, we've got 7 points. We can touch on the games quickly as we went through because we're now coming towards the what seems like the umpteenth international break of the season so far, which is nice, actually. It's nice to have a break from watching.
Yeah. Welcome 2 weeks off.
Yeah, absolutely. 17th of August then, the opening game against Arsenal, the 1-0 loss. Now, at the time, I was sort of thinking, when we were playing, I don't think we actually played that badly. I think it's just that Arsenal were the better side defensively. They were really tough to break down. It was one of those games where Arsenal came with a game plan of they're going to smash a goal and then they're going to hold it. And they just showed how defensively good they are, and they have been and shown to be over the past few seasons.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think going into the Arsenal game. So I went to the Fiorentina preseason game. If you remember, it was the last preseason game of the summer, and they had it at Old Trafford. And I actually went to it, took my son there, and I was watching the setup, particularly the Bruno Casemiro, which I know we're going to come to. So going into that Arsenal game, I was a bit on a low because I just didn't think it was going to work. The midfield. Didn't think it was going to work at all. So going into that game, you know what's strange about the Arsenal game? Considering it was against Rice, Zubimendi and Odegaard, that's probably the best we've looked midfield. And I know Amor-In keeps referring to this, and he goes, well, we did well against Arsenal with them two midfield. But now, like you said, we're 5 games on from that. How long can we hang a hat on a 1-0 loss? We did lose at the end of the day. It was better. I thought Arsenal were a bit pre-season-y as well, in fairness. But you're right. To go from looking like, okay, we've got a bit of a better setup now, the team looks more comfortable, to like almost worse than the back end of last season now. Obviously, we'll come to Saturday in a minute. I was just, I was sort of on a bit of a low going into the season. But I must admit, the midfield did better than I thought that day.
Yeah, it was such a strange one, but I think it helps as well that there was kind of, I don't know if it's correct or wise in saying this, but 3 in the midfield for Arsenal. You had Rice sort of like the deeper lying. I never knew if he's a playmaker. He's more of a, if you play Football Manager, he's a regista. He's one of those defensive midfielders that just pummels forward whenever he wants and is able to contribute really effectively in some phase of the game. But Zubimendi and Odegaard, who are more attacking minded, I felt like the midfield could actually work with Fernandes and Casemiro at that point, because you've got one destroyer. Okay, maybe we're 5 years too late to the party with Casemiro. In fact, we are 8 years too late. And Fernandes, a more creative one to bring a link between defence and attack. It really felt like it had turned a corner. You know, you had Cunha and Mount and Mbeumo in that little triangle. I wasn't really a huge fan of the triangle. I still felt like we were missing an out-and-out striker. And you could argue that 6 games in, we're still missing that out-and-out striker.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the rotating triangle wasn't bad. It wasn't to my taste. No,
I know what you mean. I think, Cunha had a particularly good game, didn't he? I'm just trying to remember back. He had that ridiculous 70-yard dribble. He was a constant threat, but he played number 9 in that game, didn't he? And Mount played as the other 10, and then Mbeumo played as the other 10. Yeah, I mean, we definitely missed a focal point, and that's something that coming into the season, I thought Cunha was going to play as the 10 from minute 1. I appreciate he played well against Arsenal. To see him as the 9, I was like, how many players have we got out of position now? Like, it's even like Cunha was a bit out of position, because I appreciate he can play there, but I go through the team. I do it with my brother all the time. You probably see my clips. How many players are actually not in their best position under Ruben Amorim? And I think a couple of tweaks could sort that out quite quickly, personally. What do you think about the players out of position and just a little tweak here and there. Even in a 3-4-3, if you had maybe, I saw someone online say this, I wouldn't love this, but I'd like to see it. If Casemiro's one of the three and he stepped into midfield with where Bruno and Mainu could be, would that give us more balance where it is 3-4-3, but Casemiro can come into midfield where you've got a Mainu and a Bruno? What do you think about the situation with the 3-4-3 and definitely players out of position?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I'm a fan of the system and the potential it has. You know, you've got the wing backs giving the entire width of the pitch, but they need to be the athletes. And that means you need someone as an anchor in that defence. So when you're in possession, if you're caught on the break, you have your anchor there, drop in to make a back four. So Luke Shaw being a wider centre-back isn't too bad because he's at trade a left-back. And then if you put Mazraoui as a right centre-back, again, he's sort of had his time as a right back, so he can drift further right, drop Casemiro deeper. Okay, he lacks in the, height and now slightly physical department, but he's more defensively solid. So it would make sense to have him as an anchor. And then if we lose possession, he drops back, makes a back four. That makes sense to me. But it's not happening in that way. What normally happens is you've got the three defenders there who are pushing a high line, but as we saw against City, which again we'll come on to, the very high line, everyone forgot about the halfway line. So you allow Haaland 5 yards of space, and he's just gonna destroy you. But I think it can work, but you need the players for it. And we've had 2 windows now, and you're right, it still feels like we haven't quite got that sense of the right players in the right positions. I kind of would like to see, I mentioned it on a previous episode. If you're in trouble and the system's not quite working, there's no reason you can't go boring with it. Bring it back to a 4-3-3, simplify things. If you make it a 4-3-3, you have Casemiro as a holding midfielder. He knows where he is there. You can then have Fernandes, or if you want Mainu in the centre of that midfield, or you're from mounting that as a box-to-box, you have that. Then you have Cunha and you have Mbeumo on the wings and Sesko up top. The 2 wingers there in Cunha and Mbeumo, more natural positions rather than trying to get them in a bit narrower as half wingers and try and underlap or either overlap with the likes of Dallo and Dorgu. Sometimes if you are struggling and a system's not quite clicking, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad system. It means you need to be a bit more malleable. And there's nothing wrong with dropping back to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 until fortunes start to change again.
100%. I think you make a great point. The flexibility side of it is the wildest to me, and it definitely feels. And to be honest, there's evidence to back up the stubbornness against just not changing for not changing's sake. Because when he makes subs, I don't know if you saw it, but Micah Richards made a really good graphic on the back of Saturday, actually. And it was with the subs, and it's like, I think there was 3 windows of substitutions. I think Yoro came on, and then I think when Mason Mount came on. And what he does is, he brings on attacking changes. Xerxes came on at the end. But what happens is, these players just end up out of position because he won't change from the 3-4-3. So you end up with Mason Mount at left wing back. And Mbeumo was at right wing back for a bit. Then he came up when Xerxes came on. And it's like, mate, you can just loosen the reins with this system. Like you said, even 10, 15 minutes. We watched the all-time great coaches change. I saw Pep Guardiola go park the bus 2 weeks ago at Arsenal. One of the best coaches in history. My brother will say he is. Sir Alex Ferguson changed 4-4-2 to 4-3-3 to 4-5-1. You know this. It's like, Ruben, just give us 15 minutes. If you're struggling, like you said, after that, even after the first goal, change it. Just give us a little bit more stability, even with the players on the pitch. The lack of flexibility is a real thing for me, and it's stubbornness. That's the only explanation for it.
Stubbornness only works if you're successful.
Correct.
And this is the thing. So we finished 15th last season. If you didn't hear already, that's where we finished. We're only 1 place higher than we were last season at the moment, but it kind of does feel like, the stubbornness and you're losing is a hugely bad cocktail to have. That's one way to absolutely sap the morale of what little is left of the morale out of the players. But, we have the debate as well about, when we come to Fulham game, I feel like that was 2 points dropped rather than the point gained against Fulham, especially on the fixture when we opened the season. We opened last season against Fulham with a Xerxes last gasp winner. God, how times were so much better
Wow, yes.
2
Sorry,
months
yeah.
ago.
Complete. Yeah, you're right. Wait, it was the first game, wasn't it? Under
Mhm.
under Ten Hag. Wow, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting thing with that Fulham game, the first 20 minutes, we were absolutely at it. So you're right that you come out. I know the Arsenal game was a loss, but you're right. People did go, well, there's something to build on there. Coming to the Fulham game, I did a watch along with my brother actually. First 15 minutes, I was like, we are at it. Like they were sharp. Did Cunha hit the post? I think early. I think Ahmad and Buemo were loading up on the right hand side, and I was like, we're going to blow these away. This will be a 3-0 win. Okay, you lose to Arsenal, but it wasn't that bad. And then you go, right, okay, now we've got, I think Burnley was third, wasn't it? To the Fulham game, to go from that first 20 minutes and then you have the pen miss, to then second half was just a basketball game. It's
Yeah.
like, it's hard to, they seem to be a different team 15 minutes to 15 minutes. Do you agree with that? Like, they can play well. I've seen them. As Fulham, they were fantastic for 15 minutes. And then second half, there was no control, no creation. It's very hard to understand this team, honestly.
No, you're right. It's consistency, and that's what's the gripe about it. It seems like this system. Amorim's been here for what, a year now, maybe just shy of a year, because Ten Hag was sacked in about November, December time, if I
You're
remember
coming up a
rightly.
year. Yeah, yeah.
So a year to learn a system seems way too long. A system needs to be
Yeah.
implemented over a summer or, the winter break, for goodness sake. Not a case of, it's still a year and the system still doesn't look like the finished product. Tom, who's one of the guests on the podcast, one of our hosts, he said that coming into the Arsenal game, it still looked like we hadn't properly been through a pre-season, and it still felt like we hadn't got the players, they hadn't learned the system. We've brought in some good talent. Would I say world class? No, but they're good talents in Mbeumo and Cunha.
Yeah.
Cunha may be more, rough around the edges than Mbeumo, but Mbeumo, he scored 20 goals last season. He's no
top player.
bad player. He is no bad player. So, we're bringing in players, and I feel like the strategy over the last couple of windows has been better, not absolutely world-beating, absolute best, but better. We're still overpaying for players, and we're still paying £70 million for Mbeumo, who, 20 goals in a season is great, and he's led Brentford to great things and helped be a part of how they've stayed up for as long as they have, as a well-run club. But to drop 70 odd million on him, and Cunha was roughly the same, about 60, maybe even more. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
it is a lot. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying this for ages. They need to go Prem proven, and the first two signings of the window, I think they were the first two when Cunha and Mbeumo both Prem proven. Like you said, 20 goals from Mbeumo. I think Cunha was around 16 league goals for Wolves. And let's be honest, despite the struggling start, those two have shown why we spent the money. Like I think I know that the team's not functioning perfectly. I think Mbeumo's been good. Would you say he's been good?
He's been our best player.
Yeah,
hands down.
He's been. Yeah, and I think Cunha. I know he had the injury. Cunha. I agree with what you're saying. By the way, I think Cunha's influence on the game seems to come and go. And Mbeumo is a constant goal threat. His movement's fantastic. The pen at the weekend is because he's in the right place, right time. He gets hauled back. Should have been a red, by the way, but we'll come to that later.
I agree.
But yeah, you're so right. Those two signings were, I think, really good steps in the right direction. I did not rate Garnacho. Did not rate him at all. Never did. I did not. So the upgrade for me from Cunha and Mbeumo, we lost Højlund and Garnacho basically. I think that's huge. But the team is still struggling, and that's got to be the most damning thing right now, where you elevate the talent. Even Sesko looks okay. I mean, I'm not fully convinced. Again, you talk about the overspending. Was he another overspend potentially? But he's looked all right, Sesko. I think his hold-up play is good. Seems to pick up good areas. But it's like we've replaced the front three and we're still struggling in 20-minute spells against poor opponents.
Yeah, no, it's totally right. I mean, we move on to the Burnley game where that was. You mentioned a basketball game with the Fulham game. This really was
It
a
was.
game of basketball. You really didn't know where to look. You
Yeah.
had Cullen own goal. I mean, it was supposed to be Casemiro, but Cullen actually got the final touch on it.
Yeah.
Then you had Foster score in the second half to level it, and Burmo scores 2 minutes later. Uh, then 10 minutes later, Jadon Anthony gets the goal, and then it's a last gasp penalty. Now, I was listening to all of this on BBC
Fernandez.
5 Live.
Yeah.
So I was listening to this. It was literally a game of table tennis. It was like going backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. It's like, what is going on in this game? It just felt like we had no control over it. Over a game we probably should have had an ounce of control.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really wanted to speak to you about the control, actually. And I think that I know the midfield is much maligned, and I completely get it. Essentially, we're outnumbered from the get-go anyway, because it's most teams set up with 3. Even if you play a 4-2-3-1, your 10 can drop in. The way Amor-In sets up the 2 10s, they're more wide 10s, so they can't naturally come and make a 3 in there. Now, the control aspect for me is, I think there's a few things here, and I really want to get your opinion on this, is I don't just think it's attributes that you said that Casemiro's probably past his athletic best. Bruno's never really been a centre mid anyway. He's a risk-taking number 10, and I really like him as a number 10, which is kind of killing me a little bit, seeing him in this role now. And Bruno is an important one here because his influence on the game from deep, he's now really being pulled back into long balls because he's got to hit that killer. Bruno loves that killer ball, right? If you're in a 2-man midfield, you're hitting that killer ball from maybe halfway line, 10 yards inside your own half, as opposed to where he used to do damage under Solskjaer and Ten Hag. So I've got some stats for you. I want to talk about this around the control. I was looking at the passing with Fernandez and Casemiro, our main 2 midfielders, and I was looking at the per 90 attempted passes, long passes, by the way. They attempt 27 long passes per 90. And my initial thought was, wow, that's really high. So what I did was I thought I'll grab Palace's. They play 3-4-3. Everyone loves Oliver Glasner now. So I looked at Wharton and Hughes, and they combine to attempt only 11 long balls a game. So Fernandez and Casemiro are nearly going at 3 times the amount of long balls as Wharton and Hughes for in the same system under different managers, obviously. What do you think about the issues in there with the control aspect? Because is it just they want to play to the quick guys very quickly? Is it Bruno struggling to suppress his natural instincts as a 10? What do you think it is?
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, I didn't realize it was that much of a gap. I know that, it feels like there's a lot of long balls played. I didn't quite realize it was that substantial. Almost one every 3 minutes, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, on fbref.com, obviously, if anybody listens to this, and I've got my stats wrong, but that's where I got my stats from. They do quite a good breakdown, so I'm trusting them guys.
And we will trust them as well. Bow down to them. Bow down to them. Yeah. I think even under Ten Hag, you still saw what we called a Hollywood pass from Bruno Fernandes. He loves to do a long ball to sort of get in behind. But it does feel like this system is caught in 2 minds. Whilst I actually see a potential for Fernandes to drop a little bit deeper, because I feel like this system needs a link between defence and attack. You've got, attacking midfielders. You've basically got attacking complete wing backs who have no interest in defending unless we lose the ball. So you've essentially got 2 wing backs, 2 attacking midfielders, and you've got someone up top. So that's, if my maths is right, 5. So you've then got Fernandes, who's more attacking minded. So again, that's 6. So now you've got 3, 4 defenders. It's not a lot.
No,
and we constantly get caught on the counter-attack, constantly. So whilst we are making chances, and when we went into the City game, I don't know about you, Alex, if you're an XG believer, I am agnostic. But what I can say is it gives you an idea of the quality of chances that are made. We were top of that table going into the game against City. So we were making the chances, but we're just not clinical enough. And that's turned on its head since the City game. City were playing counter-attack football at one point, weren't they? At 2-0, when we're pushing for a goal, they're sort of, putting 10 men behind the ball, leaving Haaland up. And because we've got
Yeah.
such a high line in trying to press, nothing wrong with going for a goal to get yourself back in the game. But, that's where I've said previously, Onana would be halfway up the pitch as a sweeper. Now, would he have got to Haaland? Probably not. He might have taken him down and got a red card. But the point was, he probably would have been a nuisance in that counter-attack. But Altay isn't a sweeper.
No.
He's not a sweeper keeper. So I don't think he suits this system. If you're playing such high line, you need a sweeper keeper to at least try and cut back the bit of the counter-attack. But what this system does make in creating chances, and it feels like it does create more chances than we were last season, it is so vulnerable to the counter-attack. So I like seeing Fernandes play deeper, but on transition, and if he needs to track back, he's not the man you want to track back.
Yeah. No, you're so right. I think like the XG, I do think there's something in that. Like I mean, the thing with the XG is you could flip it the other way. And I was looking at the XG against, which we are now tied for 4th worst in the league. And the two of the 3 below us is Forest and Villa are only a decimal behind us, 0.1. So we're almost, give or take, the 2nd worst XG against in the league. However, we are also one of the best XG. So it's like we're paying for it a little bit the other way, and we're not being clinical enough to accommodate it. And you're right. Every team gets measured by the same metric. So if you like XG or don't like XG, every team's getting measured by the same computer, essentially. Obviously, not myself, not you, but somebody a lot smarter than us is saying Man United are creating chances. They're not taking them. But the XG the other way being that high, is that a result? So you're right. It's like Fernandes being your sort of playmaker, if you like, and he's a bit of a bonus player because you've already got 3 ahead of him, plus 2 wing-backs. It's like, are we creating all those chances because of that? But then at the same time, are we getting absolutely decimated this way because, like you said, the transitions were not good in transition. Even Casemiro's not good in transition. And now Lenny Yoro's found himself on the bench. We are awful in transition, as we found out on Saturday,
Yeah, one that springs to mind is Harry Maguire, where Peter Crouch on the TNT coverage, basically said he's caught in 2 minds with Thiago. So he's either wanting to press up and trigger the offside trap or track the runner.
Yeah.
And because he's caught in 2 minds and decides, I can't really decide which one to do, the offside trap gets beaten anyway.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I think the thing is with the dropping of Lenny Yoro, I am confused with this because I think that the way we have to play. When I watch Palace, look, I'm not going to say I watch every minute of Oliver Glasner's 3-4-3. I don't. But when I have watched Palace, they're a lot more compact. I feel like their players are a lot closer together on the pitch. Ruben Amorim wants the same thing, I think. I don't think he likes massive spaces everywhere. But what happens is, like you said, you've got a defence that's a little bit nervous when they get closer and closer to that halfway line, especially without Lenny Yoro. So that means your midfield ends up on an island between your front 3 and your back 3. Your wing backs are too wide to help. And I think, perfect example, like you said, Maguire is like, he's getting nervous. Every step towards that halfway line, he's going, if this goes over my head, I am knackered. And, well, they scored off it. Exactly what you're saying. And I think that's the problem where Amorim's like, you've got to squeeze up. But then Maguire de Ligt, and even Shaw to a degree, he's past his best pace-wise, they're looking at each other going, wow, there's 40 yards of space here with a goalkeeper that doesn't come out of his box, And it's a big problem.
It is a massive problem. And we've been enjoying this conversation, Alex. We're going to take a little bit of a break. Give your ears a break. When we come back, I'm sure we'll have more diversions and divulgation. What's the word? Divulsions.
Hey, word of the day, that.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
Put it in the dictionary. We'll be back after this.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome back after that one. I'm here with Alex from the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Make sure you do check them out on YouTube. Two brothers who are either side of Manchester. And we got the better half in Alex today, in the Manchester United side. So
Facts.
That's good for us. Let's have a look as well. I mean, speaking of that City, that Manchester derby, I mean, I might as well call it the City derbies. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It felt like a gut punch, this one, but not until 2-0. I felt like, this game was still pretty open. Even when Phil Foden scored, it still felt like the heads didn't quite drop at that point. There was a lull for about 5 minutes, but I think we got back into the game. And then the cheat code happened in Erling Haaland.
Yeah. You mentioned gut punch there, Kieran. I did a live watch along, sat next to my brother, who, like you very well pointed out, is a City fan. So, as those were rolling in the second half with that high line, I was kind of regretting everything podcast related at that point. But no, you're right. What a weird game, right? You touched on it earlier about us having more possession in a 3-0 loss to a Pep Guardiola team at the Etihad. It was so strange. And I thought in transition, we got ourselves into good positions. The transitions ended with defenders on the end of them, like Patrick Dorgu, who had a bad game crossing. And that almost just breaks the whole offense, because Dorgu and Mazraoui were almost your spare guys. We didn't have Cunha. And I think who was the other 10 in that game? Oh, Diallo. Diallo played.
Yeah.
I did not think Diallo played well against City. I'm a big fan of Ahmad. Thought he had a really poor game. I thought we had. Rodri, my brother. Honestly, he's not on here. Obviously, I'm sure you'll get to meet him. My brother in that game could not believe how bad Rodri and Reinders were. He sat next to me in this room and he was going, I cannot believe how many turnovers United generated in that game. Ugarte did quite well. I'm not his biggest fan, but I thought he did well. Bruno did well, and Buemo was pressing. But the semi-transitions, Kieran, we created nothing until the latter ends of the game.
I think my head didn't drop at 1-0 because it was such a bizarre goal to concede. You had Doku on the right who went to put in a cross. It gets blocked. It just falls perfectly back to him again to then put in a first-time cross. It was one of those goals where it's like, come on, what else could you have done at that point?
It was a bit of an unlucky one. And it was just, you're right, could have gone anywhere off Luke Shaw, come straight back to Doku, and he probably just put it back into an area. And Phil Foden has the freedom of the box. That there is issues with picking runners up. We've seen this. This is you mentioned it earlier with Bruno Fernandes in the transition this way. Obviously, we had, was it Smith Rowe for Fulham who ran off Bruno?
Yeah, I think so.
And also Foden. Yeah. No, I thought the derby was a weird one, but that we were so poor in transition. I know Haaland, like you said, cheat code, but it was 3-0. I think Reinders missed the one-on-one. Haaland missed that one off the line. It was a strange one, but then we did get some chances towards the end. That save from Donnarumma was ridiculous. Casemiro had a good chance as well. An odd game. It's the oddest derby I've seen since Guardiola's been at City, by far.
That probably makes it one of the most memorable, even though it was a 3-0 loss. But yeah,
we had more possession.
You'll never sing that. Just a weird one. But I think we had more possession because by 2-0, City were very happy just sitting deep in their own half and letting United have the ball. Because I think at that point they knew you're not really being very threatening. If it had gone to 2-1, totally different story. City would have come back at us and they would have made sure at that point that there's another goal between us. But they were very happy at 2-0 to just let United have the ball. And that's worrying. That's really worrying. So,
Yeah.
That's said about that.
This is the thing. I mean, Guardiola's approach in that game, and then he sort of fell on that a little bit in the United game. Like you said, I think you're right. I think he thought, let these have it. They'll probably do more damage themselves than if we, because they're not what they were. Rodri is, I mean, he's coming back from an ACL tear. I'm not expecting Rodri to be Ballon d'Or level Rodri, but Guardiola was like, we can contain these. Let Dorgu and Mazraoui be the spare guys, and we have got the ultimate number 9 up top who can hit you on the break. And was it the third goal that we had possession and we were comfortable? Sure, Ugarte and Maguire ballsed it up and they scored off it. So Pep Guardiola was right. Let them have it.
Yeah. And at that point, what on earth can Altai do? There's nothing he can do in that scenario. With Haaland bearing down on goal, no one around him. There's not even a question of offside because he's inside his own half. The one player you don't give a 5-yard head start to is Erling Haaland. We gave him a 5-yard head start and a pat on the back on his way. And he was able to just dispatch it as he always does. So
he's lethal. He's absolutely lethal in front of goal.
I only say he's a cheat code because I'm absolutely jealous of how good of a striker he is. He's so deadly, so deadly.
I think. I mean, obviously, we'll save the City segment for when Christian meets you. But I do think that Haaland is weirdly. I think this is the best he's ever looked as an all-round player. But he's apparently had the worst start goal-wise since he's been at City.
What was it? 8 goals in 6 appearances.
8 in 6 is his worst.
Washed.
Unbelievable, man. But
washed. But no, it does feel like, there was a game again, when Christian's on, we'll have a chat about it more, but it was a game in particular, and I failed to pick out which one, but it was Haaland dribbling his way through past 2 or 3 players. Yeah. And it was like, oh no, he's figured out dribbling as well. No.
I tell you, you're right. And he's got a lot more. I know that the notion when he came to England was, he lacks a first touch and all this. His touch has improved, man. Haaland can get a grip of it. He brings people into play. And I don't know if you've seen it last night. I just watched the post-match interview after the Monaco game. He is scathing. He is calling out his team post-match. Really scathing interview, talking about, there was no excuse on the pen or anything like that. He was like, not good enough. Not good enough. I'm looking at him like, wow, this guy's means business in that dressing room. So, yeah, we were going to struggle with Haaland. Like you said, a high line against Erling Haaland is not advised, but if a high line with Maguire and Shaw there,
we're asking for trouble.
Facts.
A high line, though, that Chelsea put out cost them 5 minutes in. I mean, this was also a really weird game.
Yeah.
To have Sanchez sent off within 5 minutes, taken out in Burmo. I mean, it's denial of a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
He's the last man. It's a red card all day long. Then, we had Fernandes score, Casemiro score. That was great. And then I don't know what came over Casemiro. Oh. Whether or not that second challenge, that second yellow card, is a yellow card or not. Why are you diving in when you're on a yellow? For the first yellow, that definitely was a yellow.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up perfectly there. I was really, really frustrated with Casemiro in this game. I tell you, he's got a knack of being in the right place, right time, by the way. He picks up the odd goal, Casemiro. First year under Ten Hag, I think he was good for a real bunch of goals, actually. But yeah, the first one, I think it was Enzo Fernandez, was it, that he chopped? I might be getting that wrong, so forgive me if I am. But I think it was a land one on someone, so I don't know if there's a bit of back and forth in the game that I'd missed. You are so right. To then, you're 2-0 up. Chelsea had subbed off nearly every attacker they had. To go and give the ref an option, I don't think it was a second yellow. I'm not being biased here. I think if he pulls the shirt, yellow, I'm fine with it. But a shoulder tug back a little bit, I don't think that's a second yellow personally. But he gave the ref an option, and
that's the point. Yeah,
when a ref has sent someone off early, like he had with Sanchez, there is a evening up element to this in referees' heads where they go, if I can even this up and make a decent game of it. And what does Casemiro do? A guy of that experience gives the ref the opportunity, and like you said, threw the whole game into jeopardy, because after that, it's back to what we've seen on every other game, you know.
And your theme of lack of control comes up again, where we handed control back to Chelsea for sort of large periods of the second half. And when Trevor Chalobah gets that goal, you're just thinking 10 minutes ago, you're thinking, here we go again. Here we go. How are we going to throw this one away? But somehow we held on for 3 points. I mean, that's a game I don't want to put myself through ever again. But in the first half, modern Premier League history, I should say, always preface it with that. It was the first game that had 2 goals and 2 red cards in the first half. It had never happened before. So if anything, we're taking away from this season, making history. And you'll never see that.
I really like that stat. To be honest, I hope that's one of the few stats we do halftime, because I'm worried about that halftime record under Ruben. You know, they're winning at halftime, not lost in what is it now, 300 games? Yeah. I'm scared of that going under Amor-In. But yeah, no, you're right. Look, the game, it was, and at the time, it felt like a massive win, right? I mean, you especially looking at, we've got Brentford, relegation candidates coming up next. We've got Sunderland after that. Go into the break. This is our opportunity to win 3 in a row. And, and we're going to segue into what happened after the Chelsea game now. But.
Yeah, funnily enough, yeah. I mean, you say relegation contenders. I mean, Keith Andrews, I think, has done all right at Brentford, considering the massive losses that the club had. You know, they lost Thomas Frank to Spurs. They lost Mbermo to us. They lost Norgard as well to Arsenal. And Norgard was a big leader in that side. And they've still done okay. Like,
and Visa to Newcastle.
Yeah, so they've done pretty well in the start of the season. I still worry for them, because Brentford are kind of a dark horse. They're a very well-run club, and when you see a well-run club that starts to struggle a little bit, you're sort of thinking, "Oh, go on." We gifted them 3 points. No, we didn't. They took the 3 points off and never looked back.
Yeah, that's it. Coming into this game, I really, obviously there's a lot made. Ruben Amorim's not won back-to-back games since he's been here. You mentioned he's nearly been here a year. It's 34, 35 league games, right? I mean, this is your opportunity to build on a decent win against Chelsea, albeit whether you go asterisks with the red or not. And what do? We come out and, firstly, Maguire played quite well against Chelsea. I think he's gone, okay, I'll play Maguire again. But surely all week you're looking at Brentford hitting you on the counter-attack, and you think, well, Lenny Yoro's my quickest defender. Do I not play Yoro over Maguire? It's almost like a bit of a default going back to Maguire, almost a safety net. Lenny Yoro's young, a little bit, maybe you could say raw. But if you're going to play a high line, you play Lenny Yoro, right? And the first goal comes from exactly that. Jordan Henderson has an acre to land a long punt into, and obviously typical for us, Thiago slices it in the top corner. But
it's a great finish.
Yeah, unbelievable finish. I mean, I've not watched Thiago at all this season, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect that. I'm looking forward to him probably not scoring for the next 15 games, typical. But what did you think, Kieran, about the omission of Lenny Yoro for Harry Maguire, and how it sort of did feed into that first goal?
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? Considering that you've got Yoro and De Ligt, I think, are a really good pairing at centre-back, and then it's sort of whoever, whether it's between Shaw or Maguire or sometimes Mazraoui as that centre-back, it sort of changes between them. But I feel like we're a stronger unit with De Ligt and Yoro on the side, so I'm a bit confused as to why he was dropped. I think the start of the season has been okay. It's not been great, but it's been okay for Yoro, and he's a young lad. I do see him within the next 3 or 4 years knocking on the door of the French international side to get his first French cap.
Facts.
So he's gonna get there, but in this side it is going to be tough. But one thing this game reminded me of is how vulnerable we are defensively. Not only that, but Brentford, who are this season and seasons past, are really good, so efficient at pressing. In that game, United didn't get a chance to breathe. They didn't get a chance to do a lot with the ball. And that's why it went backwards, because Brentford were pressing so effectively. I mean, Grimsby showed us how to press as well. I'm glad we didn't mention that game. But the point is, if a team are pressing efficiently, effectively for long periods of the game, we go backwards because we have players that can't really play through the press. City are a really good team at playing through the press. They're very comfortable on the ball. They can knock it around in diamonds, in triangles, whatever they like, until they find that one killer pass. Pep raised that system at Barcelona, where the first 2/3 were absolutely structured. You must do this. You must keep possession. You must line up in this specific way. As soon as you get to the final third, when you've got Messi and David Villa, do what you want. At that point, the game is yours.
You get the freedom.
And so, exactly, you get that freedom in the final third.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that with United. It feels like if any team come up against us and they are pressing and they give us little space, there's not a lot we can do. We can't really play through a press. And that worries me, considering that it's a very physical league. And how many teams really afford pressing and counter-pressing? Pretty much every team in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, it's an athletic league. Like you said it perfectly. We lack the personnel to receive it on the half turn, and like you said, receive it under pressure. You can almost sense the anxiety if you're at Old Trafford or even watching it on TV. You almost every single pass gets a little bit more under pressure, so it'll be Shaw back to De Ligt, out to Yoro, out up to Dallo, and each time you see the panics building and building. Comes to Ugarte, who's a centre mid for us, and he's not good on the half turn. He's not pressure resistant. Fernandez likes to get it with looking this way as well. Kobe Mainoo is probably the most pressure resistant footballer, and he can't get minutes because there's you can't play him and Bruno in a centre mid pairing. So you're right. I don't want to cut you up here on your agenda here, but like looking ahead to Liverpool and how they press at Anfield, and we've got them in a couple of weeks. That first 20 minutes at Anfield, like you said, Brentford pressed us, Grimsby pressed us. Are Liverpool going to come at us at Anfield and press us like that? Because they will absolutely crumble. It could be 3-0 after 20 minutes. Yeah.
I'll be watching from behind the sofa, cowering over them. Just wondering how big the cricket score is going to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually on holiday and I'm flying back as the game is playing. So
good for you.
I will land and check my phone.
You're in the right place for it, though. Up in the air, just,
I would say not a care in the world, but there is a care in my head. Yeah, look, I mean, you're so right with the press. I think teams as well smell blood. You're right. Teams are athletic. You notice under Ruben, we've struggled against Bournemouth's. Newcastle put us through it at Old Trafford last season, didn't they? When Joe Linton, Tonali ran at us and they ran through us. And we lack that ability to hold off and keep possession. And I think that's probably why, I was talking before about the long passes. It's probably why we do launch it quickly to the three guys up top, because it's almost our best play. Get it to the quick guys, let them try and do something in transition, and we'll live with the consequences, because the more passes we make in that, you said Pep's first 2/3, the more passes we make there, the more chance we're going to turn it over.
So in a way, it's sort of a bit counterintuitive, because this system seems to favour possession. It seems to favour players that can carry the ball really well, players that are intelligent and can pick a pass, resistant to the press somewhat. If there's three at the back, you can always pass it to the other one. If you've got a sweeper keeper at the back, you can always pass it to him to then get a full view of the game.
Yeah.
So to have a system like that and then play the long ball just seems counterintuitive. And maybe that's where this disconnect is lying, because you're trying to play a system here that works on possession at the back, wing play, your wing backs are your width in the pitch, then you've got your attacking midfielders and striker and sort of the spine of the team there to try and help you play through. But then you're bypassing the midfield altogether. So
completely.
It just seems, it does seem a bit disjointed and counterintuitive to play the way we do.
Well, you're so right. I mean, it's dysfunctional. It's the best way you can explain it. And like I said, I think that the issues around people receiving the ball, it isn't just. It's a lot of them struggle receiving the ball. Like, because Patrick Dorgu, amazing athleticism, but if you're slinging passes into him, he can easily have a loose touch, lose it, turnover, and then the panic starts, the turnover starts. And Dallo, I mean, I don't know what he was doing on Saturday. We've seen a lot of this from Dallo over the years. That was it. The second goal, the rebound, the ball goes over Dallo's head, and him and De Ligt switch on the retreat. I'm watching it like, but there wasn't a communication of like De Ligt said, you cover the guy inside. It was almost like Dallo ran that way, De Ligt ran that way.
Yeah.
What is going on? We had a week to prepare for this game.
Yeah, I sort of more put that on De Ligt because he's the closer player to Haaland. You know, if you
Yeah.
of that back line, if you're going to put a player to man mark Haaland, even though it's quite impossible to do, but if you're going to pick a player, you would have picked De Ligt. And I think it
Sure,
was a
yeah.
case of De Ligt lost Haaland there, which, I mean, it happens to the worst of us. It can surely happen to the best.
That's
But
the thing as well, isn't it? They pick up. There's never the thing with the back three as well. There is confusion. You know, like in a back two. I think with Rio and Vidic, you're picking up Drogba, and that was the case for most of the game. You can sort of hang your hat on that. With this, you're right. I mean, the Haaland's first goal, he was on Shaw, wasn't he? You had Doku on Euro, and it's these, and then the first goal was Doku on Shaw. Appreciate he did switch sides, but there's never a consistent of like you said, De Ligt, you look after Haaland because there's three of you there. Haaland can peel either way. Thiago can peel either way, and I think that's another thing of consistency where you almost want to strip it back and just go, look, Lenny Yoro and De Ligt as a back two. You're picking up Thiago. You're the spare man, and just. Because they're overthinking. They are overthinking, no doubt to me.
So we've obviously been really enjoying our conversation here, so much so that it's a longer episode.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask one.
Kieran.
No, I like long episodes. It's all good with me.
Yeah.
But I will ask one more question then.
Go for it.
And we can settle this debate. Are you Amor-In or Amor-Out?
Definitely out.
Okay.
I've been really on the fence since I went to the preseason game because I don't believe the system is the best for the squad. What the thing is for me, I don't mind the 3-4-3, but just you can do something different till you've got the players to play your 3-4-3. And I really think Mainu in for Shaw or one of the back three, whoever you want to get rid of. Shaw probably because he's probably not a centre back sort of thing. Mainu in for Shaw, go 4-2-3-1 and just show me what that looks like for a game or two. If it's rubbish, fine. But it's like, it's the negligence of not giving it something else a go. I don't know how you win at the top level. Even if we say we did get a good side together, are we going to win a Prem with a guy who won't flip from system to system? Even in games, we spoke about Pep and Fergie, changing systems. It worries me. And from a preparation standpoint, we spoke about Brentford earlier. They've been playing 5 at the back all season. On Saturday, went 4-2-3-1 and outnumbered us in the midfield 3-2. And it's like, I was sat there going, Brentford are making adjustments to dominate us.
Yeah.
What about you, Kieran? Where are you at? Tell me.
I mean, the potential of the system is still what's got me on side.
Yeah.
But like I've said, I had a solo episode where I just absolutely tore into the whole Manchester United mantra. You can't keep changing managers year after year and nothing works. Look how many managers we've had walk in here, have some semblance of success, and then they're sacked. We're becoming the Chelsea of the Abramovich era. If 5 games, 6 games in, you're not good enough, you're out. Is that really the way we want to go?
Yeah.
It took Ferguson how many years to finally win a trophy? And it was the FA Cup that saved his job.
It was.
Mark Hughes being the one to save your job.
Yeah.
That's a statement that only works in the 80s and 90s. It doesn't really work nowadays. But the point is, you've got a manager here and you've got a board, like him or hate him, have seen Amor-In's system, seen it work at Sporting and said, that's what we want here. But then there's the disconnect because Amor-In's come in as a head coach. So how much of a say does he have in transfers? I would probably say not as lot as, say, Ferguson did. Not as lot as, say, David Moyes. Okay, we had Fellaini. He had massive influence on that, but that was a deadline day signing and more of a panic signing. He didn't turn out that bad, but, for United, we wanted more. So you've got this cocktail here of big transfers, big signings. Take Anthony, for example, who's now enjoying life at Betis. Good for him. But a massive fee, massive pressure on him, and 80 million translates to this is a player that is a finished product.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. We're paying, Lenny Yoro wasn't that cheap either. He was nearing 50 odd million, wasn't he? For an 18-year-old. So the problems lie not only in the system as well, but where is this, you've got a radical system here. That's the word I'll use because it's so different to what we've seen before. Such a radical system. So why have we
Yeah.
only just gone half a throw? An underarm throw at
No,
it.
you're right.
You need to go full pelt at it. So
I think you're right. I just want to piggyback on what you've said there. Whether Amor-In or whatever, but I tell you one thing you are right on is Ineos went and plucked this guy. You said from Sporting Lisbon, we love what you're doing there. Come and do it at Man United. And he's gone right. Okay, well, it's a good job you want to see 3-4-3 because it's all I can do, and it's all I will do. And he comes here, and you go, like you said, are you going all in, or are you going? We're going to put a few chips in. We're going to hold a few back. You need to give Ruben Amorim 6-7 players. You need to overhaul. He needed more than a front three in the summer. And I know there's issues around money, but you went and got this guy. Don't be like, there's your front three, but you're getting no midfielders. You need more. It's like if you wanted to just get a bit more out of the team than Ten Hag, go and get a coach that coaches 4-2-3-1 because that's what these boys are used to. You go and get someone that plays 3-4-3 and knows nothing else and then only give him 3 players. I do agree with you on that point massively.
So if you're Amor-Out, give me the manager you want to come in and change all our prospects and make everything good again like we've had the previous 6.
Yeah, I know I'm going to probably get a bit of stick for this because I did on my pod. I'll give you 2. I really like the idea of Xavi, probably because the midfield's just been such a mess. And I actually like Poch.
I'm not against Poch.
Okay, I got a bit of shit for the Poch one, right? I'll tell you why I like Poch, and I think he inherited a poor Spurs team. I can't remember whether it was Villas-Boas or Juan de Ramos, whoever he inherited that team off, and he went and bought players from your bottom half team, similar to where Man United are now. I think you alluded it to on your own podcast. You know, we are buying Wolves' best player, Brentford's best player for a reason. That's where we are, and it's not a bad strategy, by the way. I think Poch built that Spurs team really well. He put faith in youth. Obviously, Kane was an elite talent, but you still got to bring them through. Built a good, solid spine. Do you remember the Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Lloris, Dembele, Kane, Eriksen? He built a strong side. And I think, I know, was the Chelsea tenure that bad with Poch? I thought he did okay.
He did okay, but I think it was the era of if you've had 10, 15 games where it's not going well, you're out.
Yeah, well, you touched on Chelsea before. I mean, they pulled the trigger. I think maybe Maresca is benefiting from Poch's hard work that season a little bit because I do think, obviously, signed Palmer for 40 million. I mean, that's a phenomenal buy looking at in this current market, like you said. So you're not like Xavi.
I think Xavi's a lot like Zidane, where at one club he will be amazing.
I hear you.
But if he tries it anywhere else, that's the reason why Zidane has only ever managed Real Madrid.
Yeah,
that's my call on the matter. Like sometimes, as a manager, as a top level player, you know, you have one stint where you've helped Real Madrid get a decima, and you've helped them become established at the top of European football once again. And at that point, you say, "I don't have to prove anything else. That's fine." Stick to what you know. Stick to the club you know has brought you success. And I don't fault them at all. I don't fault Zidane for just saying, that's it. I'm done with management. I'm good with that. I kind of feel like it should be the same for Xavi. I feel like if he tries to basically create a legacy outside of Barcelona, I just think it's a bad idea. But hey.
No, I hear you. And also just talking about the Barcelona, completely different club to Man United. Our DNA, our principles, our style of play. Appreciate we don't typically play 3-4-3 either, but I do think Amorim gets the size of the club and the charisma side of it. I do like the way he speaks. And Xavi is that thing. He's going to bring a Barca DNA with him. It's all, like you said, it's all he knows. He's played there all his career, barring a bit of Qatar at the end. He managed there. He's going to bring a Barca DNA to a team that, I mean, we can't keep the ball, right? So again, it's not a match made in heaven, and I'm just plucking a name out, really. I like Xavi. But what Poch, for me, I do think there's a bit of a similarity with where Spurs were and where we are. As I know that's awful. That is just the truth of it. I just like Poch. Yeah, that's probably my call, Kieran.
There you go. You've heard it here first. We prefer the Poch on the pod.
Poch.
There you go.
Please don't come for me. I got absolutely hammered for that on my pod, so yeah.
Well, we can get hammered here as well. It's all okay. It's all good.
Let them come for me. It's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. Bring it on. And if you want to join us on all the social medias as well, make sure you check out Alex and Christian's podcast. They're the Noisy Neighbours Pod on YouTube. So make sure you go and check them out. They've been fantastic guests. At least the Manchester United side has as well. Yes. And also you can listen and watch this episode, of course, if you're already listening on Spotify or on Apple, then you can head over to our YouTube channel as well. It's at the Daily Man United Podcast. It's got GSPN at the start. I forgot about that. It's such a long name. You have to remember it. And that's the tagline. And of course, we couldn't be here with you today without our great partners at Zencastr, because at Zencastr and at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that can remove those ums and ahs and maybe a bad word that Alex said that he hasn't realised yet. It gives you all the tools you need to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. So if you're ready to tell your story, make sure you check out Zencastr in the show description to learn more about their product. Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. We'd love to have you back, and maybe one of us can traverse onto your pod.
100%. We need to get you on ours, definitely. I really enjoyed that, Kieran. It was great chewing the fat over Man United. Hopefully, next time we speak, it might be in better circumstances. But thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been brilliant, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us. And yes, hopefully we've got at least 3 more points in the bag. We've got the Sunderland preview coming up shortly as well, so make sure you tune in for that. And it's a nice international break where we don't have to watch United for a little bit. Zen. Love it. Can't wait. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.